Okay, so I don't know whoever needs to hear this, but listen if you have trauma with your parents, okay? So I'm going to just start from the beginning. I am from a town called Madera, California. It's by Fresno, 3 hours south of San Francisco, in the Mid-Central Valley area, okay? If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. So, like, I grew up a pretty much, like, good kid. Always on honor roll, always going to school every day, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Was always in sports or doing something at school, or my butt was home, okay? Like, I was not out doing no extra stuff. So, around my freshman year of high school is when, like, I started noticing stuff about my dad, okay? I was about, like, 13, turning 14 years old. And my dad was doing weird stuff, okay? I mean, like, the touching, the playing the corn on TV, out in the open, taking showers, and he's coming in, or using the bathroom, he's coming in, and you're like, I want my privacy. And he's like, there is no privacy in the house. If you're showering, I should be able to come in and watch, right? You waking up in the middle of the night because you and your sister are throwing pillows at one another because you're trying to wake each other up so you're not asleep in the middle of the night and victim to, you know. But then you finally get the courage, sophomore year, to fess up to your counselor about what's going on, right? But your school counselor is telling you, like, we can't do anything until there's evidence, until there's bruises and marks and all this stuff. So the day that you finally get, like, and, you know, he's wearing jewelry, so, like, thank God there's marks. So finally the cops are called and there's finally a case put in. But guess what? CPS was still going to send you back home anyway because he goes and tells them, like, oh, she's just a rebellious teenager. She's lying. And they believe him. But your sister comes forward. Your sister comes forward with that vital information. That if you know what I'm talking about. And that halts the case. Halts me going home that night. So my mom can put an emergency protective order to take me. Okay? So then it gets taken to court and the whole trial ends up happening a city over 30 minutes south from you. And let me tell you, because your dad was a well-known, respected school district employee, the whole school district, including babysitters and people that you've known, come to testify against you. And it's crazy that people come to testify against you given those people weren't in that house behind closed doors. But they think they know everything because they clock in and see him every day and clock out and say bye, right? And everything's fine. And it's crazy now living in 2025 because there's so many people that are coming out now with their stories about SA and like now it's going to court. People are actually getting charged and stuff now. But it's like back in our day with me and my sister, like we came forward as that stuff was happening in the moment still, right? And it was still treated like, what are you doing? Like, we don't believe you. And the worst part is like my dad's side of the family is, I think that's what hurts the most. Because they completely stopped talking to us. Like his mother, my dad's mother, my grandmother, like, didn't believe anything we had to say. She was like, why'd you guys take so long? First of all, it didn't take us long. It was still happening in the moment as we reported that stuff. It's just something was barely being done about it. You know, there's women that wait 20 years to come forward. No, we came forward. We didn't want to keep dealing with that every day. You know what I mean? And to still be looked at like, no, that didn't happen. He didn't do that to you. Excuse me? Why didn't you tell us sooner? Why didn't you contact us? If anybody knows my father, they know he is the king of saying how many times me being so clumsy, I break my phones. My phones just keep on breaking. They just keep on breaking. He got so mad at my sister one time. We were on the freeway back home to Madera from Los Angeles. And he threw my sister's phone out the window and said she lost it. No, you got angry and you were the one that threw it out the window. It was a white iPhone 4 when those came out. It's just so crazy. And like anytime I would tell him like I'm gonna call grandma and tell her, like he would literally snatch my phone and snatch me up and be like, you're not gonna tell her. You know what I mean? He would sit there and break our phones right then and there. And if he beat us that night and we had bruises on us, that's exactly why I swear, I wish my dad's side of the family would go back and look at our school records from when we were with him. If they look at the school records and see how many times we were taken out of school for multiple days at a time because we had bruises and stuff, and we had to heal first before he let us go back. It's just honestly insane looking back now. You know, I tried to have a relationship with him, like even now in the, like around 2020-ish, when I got with my husband at first, we tried to have a relationship, you know? Like, we tried. Even in 2022, I tried again, you know what I mean? When I was pregnant with my son. You know, we would Zoom and stuff, but then, like, he blocked me randomly, then told my grandmother, his mother, that, like, I wasn't contacting him, he's not given the chance to be a grandfather, and how he doesn't know what my kids look like. And it's like, we were just video chatting, so why'd you block me in the middle of that and then go make up a story so you can play victim and cry? Like, why is it always a narcissistic, like, manipulative situation? You see what I'm saying with the stories here? So, that being said, I literally remember going out to LA with my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, to Los Angeles because my son was born in LA County. So, I had to go out there to get the birth certificate, you know what I mean? Just for other reasons. But anyways, we went out there and I, you know, called my grandmother, hey, can I come by? We're in LA. Cause like, when am I ever really in LA, you know? So we go and meet up with her. It was actually a pretty nice day. We went by the church that we used to go to as a child. And then, she took us out to lunch. And that was fun. But she sat there when I first arrived. We sat in her living room. And she was just like, so what's this I hear about, like, your dad saying that he doesn't know what your kids look like? You haven't spoken to him. And I'm just sitting here like, what are you talking about? And I pull up my phone because I'm like, is this not his number? It's a Las Vegas area code. And she's just like, oh, yeah, that is his number. And I'm like, okay, here's text messages I'm scrolling of me and him literally in the last week. I've sent him pictures of the kids. Like, he knows what his grandchildren look like. And still, she was just like, but still, like, what do you mean, but still? Why are you still making excuses for the man? So he just got caught lying. But he blocked me randomly because I was showing her. See how it says try again, try again, try again? And the message turns green. Well, the message was already green because I think he had a Android. But it started saying, like, try again, like, with the red, like, error message. The messages stopped going through. And then the calls went straight to voicemail. It didn't even ring. And I was like, he blocked me randomly. And then randomly, like, the next week he texts. And I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. Because why is now all of a sudden the messages are going through? You blocked me, went to your mother, played victim to make a whole story when you know that's not true. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So then I was like, you know what? I don't need a man like this in my life anyway. Like, he caused too much trauma to me that, like, my dad was the type of person where everything that happened in your life, he needed to know about it every second of the day. And so even after I had children and I got older, I was like, oh my God, like, I have to keep updating my dad. I have to keep updating my dad. Like, I have to let him know everything that's going on in my life, because if I don't, I'm gonna get in trouble. And like, it took me getting with my husband, getting with a man that's like, I'm taking care of you, F him. Like, this isn't about him anymore. You have a husband now. You have a man. And then I realized, like, getting into therapy, getting on PTSD meds because I was having nightmares and stuff, that like, oh my gosh, why am I still in contact with the man that SA'd me and my sister? Why am I still, like, scared of him? Because anything he told me to do, I'm going to do it. But the man's still walking free. He tried to kill my brother like twice since then, which I bet his side of the family still doesn't know about, but we all do, including my brother's fiance, which is crazy. But I no longer have contact. I haven't in years, thank goodness, and I never will. My kids will never know their grandfather, but that's also his doing. I'm sorry, but it is. My mom, she's no better. It gets just as worse. If you guys are listening to now, sit for part 2. If not, okay. But my mom is... Nothing is worse than my dad, of course, of what he did. Of course. But my mom, the person who saved me after the court trial, who I thought was going to save me, it ended up that I didn't end up getting saved, even now in 2025. the issue is still here. And the hurt is still here. Come back for part 2. Now, my mom, the story about her is she's been abusing us since we were kids. I'm not even going to sit here and cap. She's been abusing us, like, since we were kids. Literally remember that. That's the whole point of why we got sent to our dad in the first place. Like, literally, that's the reason why we got sent in the first place. So nobody can sit here and tell us, that didn't happen. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. That's why the court gave my dad full custody. That is literally why. We went to mediation. We remember what happened. I literally remember the time that I was in first grade. I went to a school called A.L. Connor because it was in Orange Cove. And my dad was at work, and my mom one day popped up and was like, knocked on the door and was like, pack your guys' stuff. And my dad had no idea. We packed our stuff and we left with her to Orange Cove. My dad did not know. She was dating a man named John Hill, which I think this video is going to get kind of crazy because John Hill, I keep hearing claims that this man has passed away, but I'm not actually sure if he's dead or not. But my dad kept this guy's information and copies of stuff in bins in his apartment and had this guy's ID and social and everything. So now that me and my brother are more better in a good standing, which we'll get into later in probably the next part, my brother is telling me stuff because this all, it's just confusing. Just know that this gets, kind of deep into, maybe my dad might be a murderer, okay? But basically, court trial, got taken away from my mom, custody of my dad. My dad started doing weird stuff with us. Okay, boom. My sister came forward with, like I said, essay. And then they finally was like, okay, emergency, we're going to keep her with the mom. 72-hour hold, but then we had court. They asked him to take a polygraph test. He said no. But let me back up a little bit. When all that claims happened with the essay and all that, the police actually had us go down to the police station. And they had my sister call my dad to try to get a confession on the phone. And all she said was, do you find Simone attractive? Are you going to do the same thing you did to me to her? Fully, to that extent? Or, what are your plans with her type thing? And all he said was, we're not going to talk about that right now. And the cops were like, well, he didn't admit or deny it. That's not a confession. He technically didn't admit to a crime or anything, so there's nothing we can do. I kid you not. If somebody wants to dig for the records, I'm pretty sure, with knowing how TikTok is, I'm pretty sure somewhere, somehow, somebody can find that. But I'm telling you right now, that's what happened. After that, like I said, now we're going to talk about court. They asked him to take a polygraph test. He said no. He ended up giving up rights of me, or whatever. And I remember going and getting my stuff. He had it packed up in black trash bags. It was 3 trash bags. And the cop was asking, would you like her to go with her mother or to foster care? He said foster care. That's why I had to go through the whole system of them calling all of my family members on my mom's side. And everybody had something on their damn record. So that's why it was hard, except for my aunt. Of course, that's the pastor's wife. She passed flying colors. So I had to stay with her until the court paperwork went through with my mom, which was just about a week. But anyways, yeah. After that, I went to move with my mom in Sacramento. I met her new boyfriend, the boyfriend that she had that I've never met in my life. That ended up being terrible because he was abusive to her. He was getting in my face, everything like that. My sister also lived there with her fiance at the time. And it was just terrible. It was terrible all the way around. And I ended up failing that whole semester at that school my sophomore year, that first semester. And I was like, Mom, I need to go back to where I was with my grandma maybe, because I think that's the best option for me right now. I couldn't do it. And because I told her I didn't feel comfortable living with him. And instead of being you know what, okay, this man is bad, let me take the man out and just do better for my daughter, she wanted to keep the man. And so she said it was fine with me to go stay with my grandmother. Of course, whatever. And so I went to go stay with my grandmother. Everything was peachy keen after that. I graduated high school with her, everything. Okay? Now, on to my brother. My brother, he stayed with my dad. And with that, my dad is a woman hater. I kid you not. My dad looks down at women. He calls them tramps. He calls them everything. He hates women. He tells my brother, I'm not even going to get into what he probably tells my brother. He probably told him a lot of bad things. I don't know, because I was not there, so I can't speak on my brother's experiences, and I'm not going to. I don't know what my brother went through. I just know that he also was traumatized in the process, just like me and my sister. But in that time, my brother ended up living with my grandmother as well during high school and being raised by my grandmother as well. So no surprise there. Ha ha ha, right? And my mom got to live her life with her boyfriend. And then now, fast forward to 2024, I ended up leaving an apartment that me and my husband had because, I mean, the landlords were terrible. We're literally in the middle of a lawsuit right now. Like, there was insects, there was roaches, there was everything else. We didn't have hot water for almost a year. It was terrible. We had to have code enforcement come. They came and wrote them violations. It was a whole thing. I held my rent. They tried to sue me. Then I ended up paying them, but they still didn't fix the stuff. It was just crazy. But that's another story time. If you guys want a story time on the landlords, I'd be more than happy, because like I said, court records are public, so you should be able to I'm not lying about anything, I guess I should say. But yeah, anyways, my mom was pleading, because like I said, my mom's been apartment managing since before I was maybe I was 5-ish, and now she works for a big company, I guess. But, yeah, she, told us to come live with her, that, she hated the way our landlords were treating us, so we went to go live with her. Mind you, still paying the rent, all that stuff. My mom was always the type to be if you're renting from someone, get it written down in paper with signed and all that. But when I asked her to sign, a contract or have something, she was like, no, we don't need to do all that, But anyways, I went to go stay with her and stuff. Mind you, she's still with the same boyfriend from when I was a minor that I told you about. So, mind you, we're paying her, we're cleaning up, we're keeping after ourselves. My husband's mom and siblings also lived in the same city. So, most of the weekends, we just go and stay over there on the weekends, you know what I mean? And just be at home during the week while because I had work and stuff and was going to school. And, I don't know, weird stuff just kept happening. For instance, when we first moved in, everything was good until his son started touching our stuff. When I say touching our stuff, I mean, say, sometimes if you skip a day for a shower, I might come home on Friday. Usually I always shower, though. That's never usually the case. But if it is the case, if there's a day, where I skip a shower, that next day I would shower, and I would go, and my whole towel's drenched. But I didn't use it, and neither did my husband, because he has his own towel. So it's who used my towel? And it's his son's going and using our towel to, wash his hair, dry himself. But then, he's, putting our towels and our loofahs, on the ground. Our loofahs are, behind the toilet. Why is our stuff on the ground? So I was telling my mom, hey, why is our stuff being moved? And then he was and then the son was also complaining on his game that, oh, she's touching my stuff. I'm putting the stuff back in the drawer and cleaning it to keep the counters clear, because nobody should walk into a bathroom and, everything should be everywhere. Especially because my mom always talked about and complained about how this front bathroom was never clean. So once we moved in, I was like, oh, I'm going to take care of that problem since I'm here. I'm going to always clean the front bathroom, because that's the guest bathroom if guests come over, obviously. And then, taking our food, taking our kids' food, their snacks, their stuff in the cabinets. And we had separate cabinets from our moms, because I was under the assumption that, everybody would share, because we get eat food stamps, But she was being weird about, oh, these are our eggs, these are this. And I was like, okay, so if you're going to be weird about it, we'll separate our stuff, which we did, but our stuff was still getting eaten. We kept bringing it up to her and him, because I'd rather bring it up to the parents than to, go at your kid. Because I'm a respectful person. I wouldn't want somebody coming at my kid. But in doing that, the boyfriend took it as oh, they're talking about my son. They keep complaining about my son. And then it became a thing of she's talking crap about me talking crap about us behind our back, calling my kids MFs, referencing my kids as MFs. That's what he calls my kids. And I'm like, no, you keep calling yourself grandpa to my kids, but you're calling them MFs. And I'm telling my mom, what's up with that? And she was like, that's not cool. But okay, so what are you going to do about it? Miss, I love my grandkids so much. Why are you letting your man call your grandkids MFs? Saying he wants us out and all this, and she's over here getting drunk talking about what you want me to do about it, babe. What you mean? What he wants you to do about what? He's not even paying you the rent every month. We are. And we keep to ourselves and stay clean. But he gets to say? Okay. Let's clock it. And the thing is, till this day, I try to confront her, and she says she moved on from it. Part 3. So, yeah, like, till this day, like, I told her, like, I invited her to my son's party. My sister invited her to her son's party. But, like, I ultimately told her, because she was trying to be like, oh, can we take family pictures? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I'm like, hey, like, at the end of the day, your man said he didn't want us in your house. We had to leave, move 2 hours back north to the city where I went to high school. So I'm back here with my grandmother. Again, the same person that I was saying in the beginning that was always there for us. So that's why I'm saying my grandma is the GOAT, bro. Because I'm 26 years old, and we had our own spot. I know we had roaches and stuff, though, and the incest were so bad, and they weren't doing anything about it. And we got there, and it was like that. So we had to leave. We had to get rid of our furniture, everything. So I really trusted my mom, and she was like, dude, I'm so sorry for you. I would not want you to live in that environment. You and your family and your 2 kids need to come here because I can't stand you around that. And we took her advice and did that. But then still ended up having her boyfriend end up getting in my face multiple times. Him and my boyfriend almost getting at it multiple times. And his son touching our stuff. And all we were doing was just saying, please tell your son not to touch our stuff. And just because of that, it was like, oh, well, now they're talking about my son. Like, dude, tell your son something, parent. Literally. So it's like, I don't know. We were making sure my mom was paid every month for rent. He wasn't paying nothing, by the way. But we still had to go because he didn't want us there. And you're taking care of his son under the roof who he had on you years ago? Okay. Again, let's clock it. But whatever. But like I said, I don't have no beef necessarily with them both. Because do you with your couple. That's why I was like, whatever. Like, you guys do you. You're a couple. But me and my man weren't being disrespectful. Your son's going and messing with our stuff. We're letting you know about it, so do something about it. But don't make us feel like we're the problem because we're confronting that. That's crazy work. But ultimately, yeah, we moved. And my mom, like I said, was trying to be like, oh, let's take family pictures. Let's do this, let's do that. I'm like, dude, no. Like, at the end of the day, I still feel some type of way. We had to pick up and move our whole life and our kids because your man didn't want us there. And you weren't going to kick him out to keep us there. Like, and this stuff's been going on since I was a minor. And you did nothing about it and sent me to live with my grandma to finish high school. Now I'm still 26 and we're still doing the same thing? Okay. And so she was like, oh, well, you know what? I thought this was over with. I was already moved on. It's like, you know what? That was enough, I think, of, like, the closure for me. Because it's like, obviously you moved on because nothing happened to you. You kept your same job. You kept your man. You kept your house. You kept your whatever. We were the ones that had to pick up and move. And I had to leave my job. Well, I was already not working at the time, but still had to leave the whole city. We had to move 2 hours away. We had to find new jobs. Everything was like starting over again, and it was terrible. Now, like, I'm working, obviously, my man's going to school. Like, we're in a little bit of a better place, but the fact that all this had to happen in my life and was just like, it's like hard, you know, and his family's still out there. So like, they're also 2 hours away. So it made it a little like difficult too, but you know, his mom's side also has a full house, but it's not their responsibility. And it's nobody's responsibility. We had our own place. I knew the roaches and not having hot water for almost a year. And they weren't doing anything about it. You know, as a mother, like, she seemed so concerned. Like, I can't have that for you guys. Like, please come stay with me, you know? And I just really, like, believed my mom that she was, like, really going to be there. And I just don't want to start crying. It's just like, I don't know. I guess it's just like when you're 26 and you think you have it all together, like, you know, and I know my husband feels the same way as a man, and it breaks him too. And I feel bad because my mother put us in this position, you know? But he still stayed because he's like, it's not your fault. But I also know how, like I said, I was the golden child, the one that my mom always said that was like, every time my mom felt sad, boom, my call would just pop up on her phone, and I'd always be that kid, you know? And, like, now, I'm not calling her phone, obviously. I let it be known, like, I do want to talk about this. I feel like we do need to talk about things. But I do love you, and I'm keeping this line of communication open. I'm not going to block you. I do want to talk about things, though. I don't feel like you should allow that. I don't think that your man should have kicked us out because he doesn't like us. And because I confronted him and the fact that he calls my kids MFs. If you want my kids to call you grandpa, don't call them MFs. Don't call them MFs, period. Because my kids are 3 and 4. What are you doing calling them MFs? Like, oh, those MFs, those MFs, those MFs. Those MFs, they're not MFs. Those are my mom's grandchildren. And the thing is, like, when we first moved here, after the whole move-out situation, she was calling all of my family members, including my great-grandmother, calling them, crying on the phone, saying, like, oh, she won't let me see my grandkids, she won't let me see my grandkids. Did you tell them why? And the thing is, even when I told my great-grandma why, and this is why I said old-fashioned people do not change, is because she was like, oh, forgive her, go ask her to move back in. Oh, who cares if her man calls them that? Like, that's still the grandma, like, that manipulative stuff. No support. It's like, what's up with this trauma, man? The old-fashioned mindset. Like, I'm trying to break the generational trauma. I don't want to keep my children's grandmother away from them, but at the same time, like, knowing that my mom is literally with someone who calls them MFs and they're 3 and 4, how do you, like, dude, no, I'm sorry. And am I crazy, you guys, for that? Because my husband was like, cut her off, that's it. And we haven't talked to her since, obviously, but it's like, that message that I sent was about a month ago. I tried calling multiple times. It went straight to voicemail, straight forwarded calls. I did tell her I wanted to talk about things, left on read multiple times, by the way. So I've been tried. And so it's like, I'm also not going to beg a parent to be in my life. I'm 26 now, and I'm kind of at the realization, like, dang, if your grandkids, if you don't even care about your grandkids, that says a lot. Sorry, I got scared there was a firework. But yeah. I don't know. And the thing is, I love my mom. She's so fun when she was single. Like, when her man left her and she was single, like, dude, she was so fun. We always went out to eat, even if it wasn't about money. Like, we would just, like, go to the park, have a picnic. Like, she was so fun and bubbly, and, like, with him, it's like, what happened? Your light is so dull and dim now, you know? But anyways, enough about my rampage. It's just, now it's just like, dang, now I'm in a place where I don't talk to both of them, and it's hard because I started this new job, and when everyone was talking about their parents, asking about their parents, I'm just like, oh, you know, everybody had great stories, and I'm just like, what do I say? And I'm 26. Everyone's like, yeah, my parents would never, my parents love me. It's like, great. You know, I'm actually happy for them. I'm not trying to sound like a hater now, but it's just like, man, we didn't even ask to be here, you know, we were just born. You two decided to do all that, and, like, this is how you treat your kids. But that's why me now, as a mother, I strive to be the best mother, and I literally treat my kids amazing. I'm not the perfect mom, so please don't quote me on that. I'm not saying I'm the perfect mother. I do everything right, everything perfect, everything I'm supposed to. I have everything for them. I'm not saying all that before any words get twisted, because I know how TikTok is and how people are with the, oh, she said. No, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I am definitely not. No parent is perfect. So I don't want to be too hard necessarily and say, like, my parents just weren't perfect, that's why da-da-da-da-da. No, I'm not saying that, okay? But I'm saying, and I get it, because my mom kind of went the route of, after that night when we moved out, we didn't have the money to move out, by the way. So, like, my husband's family came in clutch with helping us out with the funds. And, like, she was like, oh, since you have all this money, like, make sure you pay me back for da-da-da-da-da-da, for all the times that I helped you. And then was saying, like, oh, all the times that his mom was down, my husband's mom was down, you know, and not at her best. I'm going to send her a bill for all those times we helped you when she wasn't around. Like, excuse me? And sent his mom that message as well. And it's like, what did she do? She's helping us out move out. Like, and then went after my brother and his girlfriend, started sending attacks, kind of slandering everybody. And it's like, nobody's partners, though. Everybody has their problems. Yes, you can bring up our problems, but nobody's disrespected you. Like, your partner has disrespected us since we were minors, gotten in our face and everything. You know? But I kind of realized that, you know what? I don't need her. I'll be okay, and I'm going to be the best mom that I can for my kids as best as I can. I don't know. I wanted to get this out because it's been bothering me for a while. And I haven't started my therapy yet, but I am soon. But no more parts. Thank you guys for listening. Okay, so I'm glad that you actually commented this. So yes, every single day I was going to the school counselors, literally reporting every single day everything that was happening with my dad. The thing is, though, they said that in order for CPS to remove a child from a household, they have to have some type of bruises or something on them. I didn't have any bruises. I just had information on what my dad was doing to me, but that wasn't enough. Which I'm obviously probably guessing it's because there's too many people who lie. So once I did have the evidence of the night when my dad obviously choked me, and he had jewelry on, they had all the scratches, all the marks, his handprints, everything, that's when finally it moved forward. But it is rigged because even though the cops was the ones that were like, we're going to remove her from the household, the thing that a lot of people don't know is that the police department and CPS are two different entities. The cops were like, we have the bruises, we have the proof, we have the pictures. And CPS was like, well, he's telling us that she's just being rebellious and lying, so we're going to send her back home. So even though the cops had the proof and CPS saw the proof, they still took my dad's word. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and then after that, that's when my sister came forward with what happened, obviously, and that's when they were like, okay, now we're not sending her home today. This needs to be investigated now. Then it went to court. Then that's when they sent us to the police department. Well, before the court, they sent us to the police department to try to get a confession. And just like I said, that's when all that happened. But yes, my counselor did want to report it, but she just couldn't because that was literally apparently a school guideline, or just a guideline in general with CPS, that you have to have bruises or some type of evidence or some type of something on you for them to move forward with even an investigation. So, yeah, like I said, once I had those marks, she was like, okay, green light, I'm calling. And she called. For those of you who watched my last story time about how both of my parents broke my heart, here's an update to that. Surprisingly, I actually have an update from both sides of my family, my mom and dad's side of the family, and my dad's side I haven't seen in 12 years, and I recently have. So that's a big update. I had to get taken out of his household. It went to trial. It was a whole thing. Gave up parental rights. I had to go live with my mom. It was a whole thing, okay? But recently, my great aunt, which is my dad's mom's sister, my grandma's sister, she recently passed. So we recently went out there in August to go to the funeral, to be there, and see our cousins and stuff. It was good seeing my grandma. My dad didn't show up. That's what we were worried about. My sister didn't show up mainly because of him. We were ready to face him, me and my brother, because, like, fuck her. You had all this damn, like, hold over us for all these years, and now we're grown, and I'm like, you don't have a hold over me anymore. But thank God he didn't show up, so that's good. But we had a good time. My husband met my dad's side for the first time. He's the only partner I've ever had who's ever met my dad's side, so that's crazy. So yeah, that was good. We didn't have a bad time. So that's good. Update on that. My grandma's good. I am staying in contact with them. We have been talking here and there. She met my kids. It's just a little hard because everyone's like acting like they didn't know. My cousins genuinely didn't know what happened between me and my dad. We had to tell them because they're like, dang, you guys just disappeared. What happened? You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, that's what happened. You know, we got assailed by my dad and we had to leave. You know what I mean? And I guess the family on my dad's side kind of just told my cousins like, oh, their mom got custody and that's it. Like, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Even though my grandma, my dad's mom, still probably doesn't believe us. She's told us to our face she doesn't believe us. That never happened. Her son never did that. She's in her 90s and she's sad, and her sister just passed, obviously. You know what I mean? So we're trying to be there for her. That's always going to hurt in the back of my head, but at the same time, I love my grandma. So I'm glad that we get to spend some time with her. You know what I mean? Nothing bad to say on that. But that's the end of my dad's side. Like, that was really it. We reconnected with our cousins and stuff and our grandma because our great aunt died, and that was that. Now, on to my mom. This is the part that really hurts me because aside from the one parent, my dad, who's a piece of shit, and never having contact with him again, my mom is the only last parent that we have to, like, be there for us. So you guys already know the rundown. I already gave my whole story about how our old landlord was terrible. My mom begged us to stay with her. We didn't want to do it, but then we gave up our place, moved in with her, and then all the disrespect started. Her boyfriend's son started taking our stuff, touching our stuff. We brought it up to him and my mom. Nothing happened. My mom's boyfriend was talking mess about us. Mind you, he has no job. He's just sitting there laying up on her, as he always has been since I was 14 years old and met that man, and he was already screaming at me in my face, traumatizing me. Yeah, had the nerve to talk mess about us. Mind you, he wasn't paying anything there. We were paying my mom, even though we literally, October of 2024, had moved in with her, and we're already that first month paying her. Like, because since we had our 30-day, and we didn't pay rent that first of the month, of November, because like I said, we moved out October 20th, so we were supposed to pay our full rent November 1st, but instead of paying rent, we paid my mom, obviously, rent for her house, and we continued to, our whole stay there. The only time I didn't pay her was that last month that we left, because I was like, F you, like, I'm not giving you anything now, like, because you're not even acknowledging that your boyfriend did X, Y, and Z. You can't even hold him accountable for disrespecting me and getting in my face. Him and my husband almost getting at it, and I'm trying to tell my husband no, because my husband already has a felony, and he's been good for 7 years, and I do not need, my mom knows that too, and she's petty enough to go and to get him in trouble. And right now we're trying to work on getting his record expunged, so I don't want to put him in that middle of that situation. You feel me? But sorry for the rambling. It's just a little recap for everybody who did not listen to my story time. I'm so sorry. But basically, long story short, my mom called me. She only called me because my sister called her, saying how it bothers her how she's talking to my sister, my brother, making sure they're okay, seeing how they're doing. Yet she's purposely ignored me for 3 months, on purpose. Tells my sister it's because I'm getting involved in her relationship when she doesn't get involved in ours. This is the thing. We all learned at this point that she's not going to leave the man. So we all have learned to tolerate the man, put up with the man, be cordial. So even if we walk into a room with him and we don't like him, we know how to say, hi, how are you doing? We know how to be respectful and cordial. This man will huff and puff, look at you, and have an attitude. But we know how to be respectful and cordial, though. We were raised good. You know what I mean? By good parents. I guess my parents have some good qualities that they taught us. I just guess they don't take the advice for themselves. But basically told her, like, I just wish you would have more strength. I said I miss my old mom who was strong, never let anybody run her. I said I wish you would just take accountability for everything that happened. Stop acting like you're confused and you don't remember. Because I just don't remember. Like, no. Because I told her at one point that a lot of the stuff did happen when she was at work, but some of the stuff did happen when she was at home too. So she kind of took that and ran with it and kept using the excuse of, well, I was at work. Well, I was at work when it happened, so I didn't know. No. I'm not saying that I didn't have a bad relationship with alcohol. My mom definitely helped me have a bad relationship with alcohol. I'm glad now I'm way better. But she didn't help the relationship with alcohol. Like, she would have me drink with her, and then we'd all get fucked up. And it was terrible. It was terrible, okay? But there was nights that I didn't drink, okay? And my mom would be drinking with her boyfriend, and out loud, he'd be, I don't like them, I don't want them here, those motherfuckers need to go, those little motherfuckers, as in my kids. Yes, he was calling my kids MFs. And mind you, even when he was not drunk, he was calling my kids MFs. So this isn't just an alcohol thing. So I do want to point that out too. And I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, like you're just talking about your mom. But if you had a bad relationship with alcohol, I already realized that though and fixed myself. There's a difference. Okay? Like, I had my bad time where I was depressed. I was going through my stuff, and I was drinking really heavy. I really was. There was nights where I also didn't remember a lot of stuff. And it was a very bad relationship with alcohol. And it took me to realize that I had to get out of that relationship with alcohol. But I don't think that's something that my mom's ever going to get out of. That's something that she's always going to have. And she's sick. She has health issues. You know what I mean? But I told her, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. You guys are literally talking about me point blank. He's saying he doesn't want us here. She's over here. What do you want me to do about it, babe? Enabling him. What do you mean? What does he want you to do about it? What are we doing in your household that is so bad that we need to leave? Mind you, you had us move out of our house to come stay with you. So it just didn't make any sense. And I told her, I'm like, we didn't deserve anything that happened in that house. I said, we got there the first day that we got there, we asked you how much for rent. We gave you money right away. I asked you for a rental agreement. You didn't want to do a rental agreement, which is so funny since you have all this experience as a manager and years of managing apartments and stuff, and you know how it works and all this. And you tell me every roommate that we've ever had to sign up a little contract, but you didn't want to do it, right? Anyways, her excuse was that she got her house illegally or whatever, I guess, through her supervisor, and her boyfriend's going to snitch her out and have her lose her job. But she's been flaunting and sending in the group chat recently how she got a new job. So I'm like, oh, congratulations on the new job. He can't blackmail you and get you fired now. So now you can kick him out and start the eviction process, right? Because that's the only reason you were keeping him there, was because you're afraid to lose your job. She can't, oh, but I'm just in the background check process. I'm not even hired yet. You're just making up excuses. Then it went from that to, it's not what you guys think. So that just means that you're not going to do anything, basically. He's sleeping on the couch. Are you serious? He doesn't have luxury. When I was there, you told me he chose to sleep on the couch because he didn't want to sleep with you. That's not a punishment. He's still getting taken care of in the house. But even though I poured my heart out and said we didn't deserve the disrespect, our stuff to be stolen, even though we were paying money, keeping to ourselves, every other weekend we try to be at my mother-in-law, so we weren't even there at her house. You know what I mean? And it was just like well, it's not what you think. He's on the couch. Like, that's good enough. Like, it was basically, I poured my heart out and she basically said, he's not going nowhere. Literally. Come back for part 2. Story time on how my parents broke my heart. Update part 4, technically. So, yeah, basically, my mom kept saying, I kid you not, when I say it was like a repetitive thing, I mean it was repetitive. She kept saying, it's not what you guys think, it's not what you guys think. So what is it, Mom? All I'm going to say is it's not what you guys think. As in, she's talking about the relationship between her and her boyfriend. It's not what you guys think. Okay, Mom, you've said that in this city that you moved to, and this city. Matter of fact, the house that you have now, he wasn't even supposed to move into that house, you said. It's not what you guys think. That's always been the excuse. So I said, so that means you're just not going to do anything about it? That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, Simone. Then what are you saying? Because how many times are you going to say it's not what we think? It's exactly what we think. I'm not judging you for the person that you're with or the things you guys go through. If you want to stay in that relationship like that, stay. But you are going to stand up for your children when he disrespects them and your grandchildren. You're not just going to sit there and, oh, well, it's okay, I'll ignore him. No. There's been way too many times that my mom has allowed this man to get in my face. And the thing is, when I was telling my mom, like, why don't you hold him accountable? She immediately went in with well, you and your husband almost got divorced and tried to bring up my sister and my brother's problems with his girl. Like, honestly, so you're that type of person. You're that type of person when someone's coming to you to take accountability for something, you bring up everybody else's problems. Everybody else's problems has nothing to do with the fact that he disrespected your daughter and your grandkids in your home, who you claim it's my house. I run my house. Yeah, you run your house, all right? You run your house, all right? I told her, I said, this is the thing. As much as you want to drag in everybody's partners, by the way, everybody's partners has never disrespected you. Ever. All of our partners have done nothing but love you, call you mom. So I don't even know why you're bringing up our partners in the mix. And I told her, I'm like, first of all, all these issues with your man has been going on before our partners even came into the picture. Before any of us became moms, he was doing this stuff. Remember when I told you guys how when I left my dad's house at 14 because of the essay and the court trial, he gave up rights to me. And my mom moved me 2 hours north to go live with her and her boyfriend, who I've only met him for the first time at that point. That was like 2015. He already didn't like us. We already had instances of him getting in my face, my sister's face, his brother getting in my face and my sister's face. And my mom's sitting there like, really, Mom? You're just going to let him? Sitting in the corner like a little bitch. And I'm sorry, but I don't know any fucking mother who will let her man step to her minor 15. No, I was 14 years old. And I know that because she allowed me to date a senior who was 18 years old and I was barely turning 15. And so that's how I know that I was 14 at the time when I first moved there, my first semester of sophomore year, turning 15. But anyways, I'm getting so upset about this. I brought up the fact that, now, mind you, he had a baby on my mom. Because my mom and him have supposedly been together for 16, 17 years and all this, but his son's 13. Okay. So again, I'm not going to judge. You do you. But you took in his son, you taking care of his son, making sure he's clothed, fed, everything, making sure he's to school okay. But your man don't like your kids? But that's okay, right? Like, no, you took me out of the trauma of my dad's house to put me into another house with trauma with that man. And when I was laying this all out on the phone call, she was like, whoa, 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 you need to slow down. You need to slow down. Like, you're doing too much now. No, this is built up frustration now since I was a 14-year-old girl. I went from being essayed by my father to you put me in a house with another man who's traumatic. And that was when I was 14. Now I'm 26 years old. And he stepped to me again. And the thing is, everybody might be in the comments, where's your man at? Where's your man at when this was happening? Him and my husband almost scrapped. My mom shoved her man away from my man. I had to push my man back too because I'm like, you have a felony. We're not doing this right now. You have a felony. They know that. They will use that and they will call the cops and they will get you arrested. Then what? Now I'm husbandless. Now you definitely don't have any way of expunging this, felony when you've been doing good for 7 years. You know what I mean? We're not going to do that. And plus, it was my time. I'm sorry. But if any of you guys have dealt with family and you've been the little bitch because you were the kid, you can say nothing. You know it feels good to step up to the abuser. You know it does. You know it does. And it did for me. Because I was going off. I was giving it to him. And he sat there and turned back and looked at my husband like, can you calm your girl down? Like, get your girl. My husband was like, no, I'm going to let her have this one. And as he should, because this was my trauma. This was my story. Step the fuck back. Let me handle my shit. Not saying he wasn't mad enough to, or that he should have stepped in. But I really felt like that was my moment because I've been so weak. I'm still scared to this day to step up to my dad who has aided me. But this man stepped up to me and said, what? I said, fuck you. And I stood up. My mom, no. No, I stood up. I said, I'm not 15 no more. I'm not 14, 15 years old where you can get in my face no more. I'm a grown woman. I'm a mother and I'm a wife. What? Step to my level. Let's go. And he thinks because he's scrawny, lanky, and 6'7", and I'm 5'8", that he's going to intimidate me. No, let's go. What's up? What's up? Because that's really the mood that I was in. And I really wish I would have recorded everything. I really, on God, wish I would have recorded everything. I wish. Because to this day, my mom, oh, I don't know what happened. No, that didn't happen. Oh, like, no. I wish I would have recorded it. My mom still has videos on Facebook to this day of lives up from when he was trashing her house, throwing things over, beating her, all this. She still has that stuff up. So if anybody really wanted to go see it, it's up there. It's public. She's not hiding nothing. All of it's up there. So as much as she talks mess, it's up there. You posted this stuff. Again, if you choose to be in a relationship with DV, I'm so sorry. I've been a victim before, but if you decide to do that, do you? Okay? Do I encourage you to say no? But you're going to do what you're going to do. You know what I mean? I was stupid. I stayed once until my ex-fiance left me. And when he left me, I got on my feet and I decided never to go through that again. But it takes something like that to happen. Not everybody's abuser ends up leaving for somebody else. You know what I mean? That girl ended up leaving too. The one he ended up marrying after me. But that's neither here nor there. I digress. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not here to judge. Do you? But don't take everybody down with you, bro. Don't do it. Okay, just don't do it. 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 My mother, I would never be able to look at her the same now. I'll never be able to look at her in her eye. When she first started the conversation, she first started it with, "Oh, I miss you guys so much. You just don't even know. Like, I talk to my coworkers and show them pictures of you and the kids and, me and my husband and my kids and all that. And I show everybody you guys. And, how I miss seeing you guys every single day. We were living with you. You seen your grandkids every single day. You were getting money because now she talks about she can't afford her phone bill. She can't afford X, Y, and Z. Have your man that you kept there pay for your damn phone bill. Because that $400 or $500 a month that you were getting from us, you're not getting it now. Mind you, that big house, like I said, I don't know what happened. I just know when she was drunk one night, she was going off about how she's under investigation with her job and how she did something, I guess, renting out an apartment illegally to somebody who she wasn't supposed to let them into that apartment. Her supervisor pulled some strings, ended up getting her the house that she lives in now, which it's a house that was burnt from the ground up. So it was re-renovated and everything. Completely brand new house. She got it for $738 a month. Don't know how. We were paying her $500 a month. That's over half. That's almost a full amount of rent. She's only paying $2 and some change. You know what I mean? Plus, we're bringing in food in the house and stuff. But this is very frustrating. When you have a man who's on Social Security, and he's only getting the Social Security because his baby mama passed away. His son has a heart condition. They literally transfer the money from the deceased mother to him. Don't ask me how that works. Just know that that's literally what went down and what we were told anyways. But he's not giving my mom none of that money. So we were literally in that house, like from day one, giving her money, paying for stuff, making sure she was good. If she needed anything, like, she got it. You know what I mean? We made sure that we tried to help her out as much as we could and make sure my mom didn't struggle, since she was doing us that kindness and helping us out until we found somewhere else. So yeah, I'm sorry that the story's everywhere, guys. It's just, there's been so much stuff. If you guys have anything specifically, any specific stories, specific points in my story time that you're like, go over that again, or tell that whole story, or how did that happen, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to go through anything and actually give detail of, I have a whole bunch of stories. I have so much stuff that I could talk about, guys. It's crazy. Like, for instance, I have a story about how my dad might be an unaliver. That's definitely another story time that I'm working on right now. I actually need to talk to my brother and go through a couple more things. So we had this conversation and we were freaking out at some of the points and plots that came up and information that I had, because when I left my dad's house, my brother stayed behind. And he went through his own trauma with my father. So we were putting together our own memories and stuff and what we remember, and a lot of stuff came to light that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, you guys. But basically, this is the end of the story time, pretty much. It was really just giving an update on my parents. I already gave my dad's side. I didn't see the man, but I saw his family. My mom, the phone call pretty much just ended with, it's not what you guys think. Nothing's going to be done. She said, I'm going to come out there in 2 weeks to come see you guys. And I said, well, that's great. So you're going to come out here 2 hours away to see us, but because we can't travel 2 hours there to come see you, right? Because we can't stay in your house. What are you talking about? You guys are more than welcome at my house. Mi casa, su casa. You guys can even have a key. I said, that's funny. That's so funny. Because when he got in my face that day and he told us to get out, and you were like, nobody has to leave or whatever. And I said, so we're just supposed to stay here and deal with this? No, that's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? She said, then everybody get out. And I said, Mom, that's not true. You're saying everybody get out, but that means us. That don't mean him. And then well, I didn't technically kick you out. You guys could have stayed and just got disrespected and kept just listening to him talk about us out in the open. That's not cool. And you're wanting money every month for me? Fuck you. That's how I felt. But literally, my sister came all the way out there to help us. My brother came. My mother-in-law came. She helped pitch in some money because we didn't have the money to move. She helped us with everything. That's why I will forever be grateful for that woman. I am not even her blood child, and she treats me like her blood child more than my own mother does. But my sister had called the sheriffs to have them come out because she knows how petty my mom is. And so I still have my old car and stuff I need to get from over there. But she told the sheriff came up to me and said, your mom wants her house key back. Are you going to return it now, or are you going to return it when you guys come back to get the rest of your stuff? I said, when we get the rest of our stuff, I'll give her key back. So she gaslit me too and was like, I don't know why the cop would ever even mention a key. I never told the cop about a key. I said, Mom, why would the sheriff care about a key? Why would he care about your house key? He didn't even know about the dang key. You told him to come ask me to give you the key back. Talking about we're so welcome at your house, you'd give us a key. You took your key back. That's how I know I don't feel welcome at your house. I said, you said mi casa, su casa, but we go to your house and your boyfriend starts huffing and puffing mad because you don't want us there. We don't even feel comfortable to go. I said, holidays, everything is going to be different now. So I basically told her, I was like, let us know. But yeah, I pretty much just ended it on, like, if you want to live your little life with all three of you guys together, you, his son, and him, let us know. We'll leave you guys alone. You'll live your happily little life with your new little family. You know what I mean? Like, it's just straight up. That's what it is. And I know some of you guys might think, like, oh, it sounds like jealousy. It sounds like you and your siblings are just jealous because, you know, even though he had that baby on your mom, she's taking him in, taking care of him. It's not jealousy necessarily, and I'm only pointing this out because I've heard this before. But it's not necessarily jealousy. It is kind of a slap in the face because my mom's been an apartment manager, for, like I said, since as long as I can remember. And we've all only been jumping from apartment to apartment to apartment to apartment. My mom's gotten away with rent because she's been an apartment manager, an apartment manager, an apartment manager. And if you know about apartment managers, they get a free apartment. So my mom's always gotten by. You know what I mean? And so, like, when we were in high school, or my sophomore year, when I moved with my mom, and I told you all that trauma happened when I met her boyfriend for the first time. He was getting in my face, my sister's face, all that. I failed that full first semester of high school of my sophomore year because I was so depressed. I hated the school I was at. I hated the home life. I hated everything. I was in a super relationship with an 18-year-old when I was 14, turning 15. You know what I mean? And she allowed it. His parents allowed it. It was a whole thing. But it was just a lot going on at that time. And I just told her, like, I want to go back to live with grandma because I don't feel safe here. And she was like, okay. When my dad gave up his parental rights to my brother eventually, another story for another time. Okay, he didn't even go stay with my mom because he didn't want to stay with the boyfriend. My mom, okay, everybody just go stay with grandma because I'm not kicking him out. He's going to stay with me. So we had to spend our whole high school years with my grandma. Because that was more easier for my mom than just getting rid of the man in the house who made us uncomfortable. So as much as she tries to come back and, oh, well, you and your partner don't have a perfect relationship. Your brother and his girlfriend don't have a perfect relationship. Your sister and her partner don't have. Who cares? Our partners, at the end of the day, weren't even in the mix when we met your man and he was doing this stuff. We were minors when he was doing this stuff. It's just we're grown now. We have partners and we're telling you about yourself. But because us and our partners might have a little issues here and there, or every couple does, you want to throw that in our face? No. We're not doing that. So, I mean, all I can say from the story time, guys, is, like I said, if there's any pieces that you'd like to hear, specific stories and stuff, oh my gosh, I have the time. But other than that, don't let your parents manipulate you. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them try to, well, I've done so much for you, X, Y, and Z. They're the parent. They're supposed to. Just like my kids right now, everything I buy them, everything I get for them, that's because I'm the parent, and that's because I'm getting my kids things that they need. I'm not going to go 20 years from now and tell my kids, oh, you owe me this for this. I did this for you, so you owe me this. Or I did all this stuff for you. That was my job. So I know I'm not going to throw it in my kid's face. When the moment you decide to spread your legs open and conceive that child with no birth control or protection, you are a parent. Your child comes first. And I'm sorry, but I just feel like, I don't know, 2025, we're in this era of story times and we're airing our laundry. And before, I feel like everything was hush hush. Nobody wanted their business out there. I'm just tired of it, you guys, because the only way to break this generational trauma, I'm sorry, is maybe these story times. If it's not going to help me or spread awareness to any of my family or anything that's going on, spread the awareness to your family. Spread the awareness to you. If this happened to you, take this with a grain of salt. And when you have your child, treat them the best that you can. Be the perfect parent. No parent's perfect. I'm not a perfect parent. But I will never disrespect my child. Even if me and my husband did not work out and I met somebody else. I'm a package deal with my kids. They better accept them. Period. Because that's how it's supposed to be. But I mean, like I said, we don't pick and choose our parents, sadly. But for me, I kind of just feel like I'm at the point where I feels like my parents are deceased. It feels like I have parents who are dead. I don't want to necessarily get my video taken down till I edited out this part, but I feel like my parents are unalived, if that makes sense. I feel like my parents are no longer here anymore. It's easier for me to look at it like my parents aren't here, because it hurts more knowing that they're alive and walking around and they're just choosing not to be good parents. So that helps me cope with myself. But that being said, like I said, there is going to be a story time about my dad being an aliver. That is going to come out. Like I said, I don't know if he is an unaliver. I just want to point that out. It's just the stories and certain things and evidence that we've gathered and weird things that have happened throughout the years. And it's just low-key like, And he's told us some iffy stories too, about stuff he's done. So I definitely want to put that out there. But I'm ending the story time with, don't let your parents manipulate you. Don't take the narcissism. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't do it. Don't do it. I told my mom, okay, Mom, and I hung up the phone. That was it. She's supposed to be coming out here this weekend, but I'm going to be spending the night. We're all going to be spending the night at my sister's for the weekend so I can see my nephew and stuff. We're not going to be here when she's here because I'm just not ready yet. She's not going to sit here and act like everything's cool when it's not. And yeah, that's it for the story time, guys. That's all I have. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. If you'd like to hear any other story times or any specific stuff, put it down in the comments. Thank you guys for listening. Story time on how my dad's side of the family still thinks me and my sister are lying about our essay, even now that we're 26 and 32. So if you guys watched my previous story times about the essay that me and my sister went through with my dad, long story short, this started happening around sixth grade for me, because all of my elementary school, I never had any issues with my dad until I hit 6th grade going into 7th when I was starting to hit puberty. Now, there is little things here and there, like I said previously, like in the middle of the night, me and my sister, because we shared a room, like she's throwing stuff at me, and I'm like always wondering, like, why are you throwing stuff at me? Why are you throwing stuff at me? Come back later, that'll make sense later. But my dad was doing weird things here and there. It all started with me getting in the shower, me using the bathroom, and my dad just walking in there. And I'm like, hey, I'm showering and stuff. And he's like, well, I used to change your diapers. I know what you look like. And I'm like, okay, but like, I'm developing now. I just started my period, like, now I'm wanting to, like, be more private, have my privacy here. But no, to my dad, it was his bathroom. He's already seen me and changed my diapers previously since I was a baby. So he has the right to come in when I'm showering. He has the right to come in whenever he wants. It doesn't matter if I'm naked or not, right? That's okay. That's not okay. Also, my dad walking in around the house butt naked, dingling out and all, walking around everywhere around the house, taking a shower, getting out, walking around like that. I'm just like, Dad, like, can you not? Nobody wants to see your dingling, and nobody wants to see all that. Oh, it's my house. I can walk around doing whatever I want. Like, okay. Having Corn play on his TV, Girls Gone Wild, Latinas, just a whole bunch of stuff that me at my age, I shouldn't know the names of. Including the times where I remember I was taking the divorce really bad between my dad and my mom. And my dad would always make comments like, I'll always love your mom, I'll always love your mom. And there was one time I got so mad because I found his DVD stash, and I was like, I thought you said you love my mom. I took everything, I hid it under my bed. I threw some of them away in the trash can. Oh my gosh, when my dad saw that stuff in the trash and everything, he was livid. Me not understanding as a kid, though, I'm thinking, you are having problems with my mom. You said that you love her still. You wish you could work things out with her, but you're over here looking at other women. I couldn't comprehend that as a kid. I just wanted it to be taken away from my dad. He took that and said that I had an addiction to Corn and I was taking his stuff. I kid you not. That was a thing. And that's not the first time that even happened. That happened also with my mom's side of the family. Had nothing to do with me, though, like, at all. Different story for another time. If you guys want to hear that little story, it's actually kind of funny. But anyways, that's besides the point. My dad asking me questions like, do you think your booty's big? Do you think your booty's big enough? Why are you asking your daughter these questions? Because it's not funny. Little stuff like even driving home from school or driving around town, going to the store, wherever. And I'm like, oh, that's my friend from school. Like, damn, she's thick. Damn, she looks so good. Oh, I wonder what her mama looks like. Stuff that as a kid I probably didn't like flag right away. I was like, oh, ha, 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 ha. But like, dude, that's weird. My sister's senior year, she had a friend that was kind of like, not like disabled, but like disabled, like had a little like limp the way she walked and stuff. And my dad and she ended up moving into the same complex as us. And my dad had like a thing for her and was trying to talk to my sister's friend. Mind you, he's like in his 40s at this point. This girl's 18. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? But I mean, me and my sister should have known because he had a little thing for penetrating younger women. And that's all I'm going to say. Also, the time where I did tell my dad, like, I thought you said that you loved my mom. No, I never said that. Yes, you did. You said that you missed my mom and everything. What? And he just grabs me up, puts me on top of the kitchen counter, and bangs my head against the cabinet. I had a concussion. I didn't go to school for like 2 to 3 days after that. Literally. Or let's say the time that my room wasn't clean. And so he decided to pin me up against the hallway because the way our bedroom is set up, our bedroom is right here. And there's a hallway right here that leads to like here, his bedroom. And then it was the bathroom, living room, kitchen, like stuff like that. So picked me up like literally with his 2 hands and just choked me up in the air. Like I was getting scared once I started to see like black, you know what I mean? The little white dots and everything else. It was scary. But like every time he gets pissed off and just decides to get our phone and throw it outside, even if it's on the freeway, smash it, we're doing whatever. Like, I feel like I'm just getting flustered because I've had years to cry about this stuff. I'd had years to mope around and be depressed about this stuff. I'm more angry now than ever. I'm more angry because I just want to know, what did we do to you? Sorry, my neighbors are backing up. I was like, what is that in my rearview mirror? But what did we do as children to deserve this? What did we do? Because I always try to be on my P's and Q's. I was always on honor roll, always getting good grades. I stayed in my sports. I stayed in my books. I was not sneaking out. I wasn't partying. I wasn't doing any of the stuff that all of my friends at the time were doing. Sneaking out, going to parties, doing drugs. There was girls doing corn freshman year with the homeboys. I'm not even joking. I wasn't doing that stuff though. Not me. So it's annoying when you're a kid that's a good kid, something traumatic happens to you, and it's like you're still being blamed for what happened to you. So not that long ago, and I feel really guilty because my grandma is like up there in age, like in her 80s, 90s, okay? And she just lost her sister recently, which is my great aunt. And I went to see my grandma and my cousins after about almost 8 to 10 years of not seeing them at all in person. Never met my kids, never met my husband, any of that stuff. So we took a trip with my brother, his girlfriend, my husband, my kid, my 2 babies, and we went out there for the funeral. Saw my grandma, spent some time with my cousins and stuff. My cousins didn't even know what happened. They were like, what happened to you guys? You guys just disappeared. Mind you, we used to go on vacations every single Christmas break, summer break, whatever break it was. We were always in LA at my grandma's for my dad's side. Always. We were close. You know what I mean? Like, we were always over there. So it's like, why wouldn't you also question, like, dang, these kids came around all the time. Why would they just not come around for over almost 10 years? Why would we just stop coming around? It wouldn't be for no reason. We loved our family. But when all of this happened with my dad and the court trial hit, everybody came against us. And my dad was very respected. Like I said, he worked for the school district. So it was like, you had our babysitters that came and testified against us. You had family friends coming and testifying against us. You had coworkers coming and testifying against us for my dad, you know. And people, you know, I understand they know him from the school district. They see him on campus. They're probably just like, oh my God, he's a great dude. But it's like, you guys have no right to speak on a situation that had to do with closed doors, behind closed doors, in my opinion. And I understand somebody's character and the way that you think they are, you know, you think, you know, they would never. But it's like, it's 2025 and you guys see all these cases now, people coming out with their essay stories, coming out about their abuse and everything else. And it's like, there's some people that wait 20 years before they can actually, you know, tell their story. And here we are. We did the right thing. We were told if anything happens that's bad, to go ahead and call the police, let an adult know. And that's exactly what we did. I was in a situation where I was getting hurt. And mind you, I went to my school counselor multiple times, and they couldn't do anything because they said they had to have proof of bruises, cuts, all this. Remember when I said my dad choked me out and I was seeing stars? That was the day. The man was wearing jewelry. I had bruises and scratches on my neck. On my neck. So that's when the police department came down there, took pictures of my neck, took me down to the CPS station. After that, they were going to send me back with him because he said I was being a rebellious teenager. The only reason why is because me and my sister came forward about the sexual abuse. That's why they took me out of his household. So now, the other day, I'm having a conversation with my grandmother because she's up there in age. Hey, Grandma, I love you. The first thing she says is, have you talked to your mom and dad? No. Why? Well, let me give you a tangent on why. I go into explaining my whole story, and she has the nerve to say, I want to talk about this in person because I need to see it from your face. Excuse me? So you don't believe me? I'm not saying that. I just want to see it from your face. I want to see your reaction as you're saying this. I want to see the hurt. Maybe you need to sit down with your mom and dad. So you don't believe me. Well, there's two sides to every story, and I just want to know, what you did. What was your part in this? So me as a child, what did I do to justify what my dad did? Well, I'm just saying there's two sides to every story, and it seems like you're playing victim. Excuse me? There's no reason a man should touch his child. No reason. And the look on my face, yeah, it might be tears, but I'm more angry because what did I do? And I will never do that to my own child. If you guys have any more questions, come back. I might do another part, but I'm getting a little riled up, so I'm sorry. Okay, an update about the pillows before anybody, because I rewatched my first video. The pillow situation, because I said it was going to come back up later, but I went into a tangent and didn't bring it back up. Let me bring it up for those who are probably going to ask about that. So we found out this later on by having this conversation, me and my sister, about the pillows. Why she was always throwing stuff at me all the time. Sorry, it's just kind of lightning. But anyways... But my sister, my dad would come in the room and tell her to go in the room. But if we were both awake, he wouldn't bother her. So she would throw the pillows at me to wake me up, because if I woke up, he wouldn't touch her. Which is crazy that he was doing that to her in her sleep. I don't know if anything happened in my sleep or not. I just know what happened when I was up after my sister and everybody, was at school and stuff. I don't know. I'll never know, to be honest. The police phone call when we went to the we went to the Madera Police Department. His name was Officer Truckee. I don't know if he's even still there. We had a recording to try to get my dad to do a confession, which I've done before when I was essayed again, somebody else. Same thing, they try to get you to get a confession out of the person. Press charges. And that time for that story, like I said, different story, different time. But I'm just saying the fact that about the confession. My sister was going in, she was going ham, she was asking my dad questions like, do you think Simone's attractive? What are do you have any plans with her? Like anything like that. To the extent of what you did to me fully. And he just said, to be honest, we're not going to talk about that right now. We're not bringing that up right now. We're not discussing that right now. But do you find her attractive? Quiet. We're not talking about that right now. Hangs up. It's all on recording. And the cop said because he didn't admit or deny it, he's not guilty. There's no evidence of the essay, so he's not guilty. Which I don't know about the evidence part, given what was my dad telling the doctors every time my sister went to the hospital? Every time she went for trying to unalive herself, every time she went for a miscarriage, for losing a baby, multiple times. How is it not flagged for a young girl? And it's so ironic that he did all of this to us, but he has the nerve to still to this day call us tramps, whores, sluts, all of this. And it's like, you're calling us this, but what did you do to us, though? And the thing is, it really hurts that his mom to this day, like, because I went off, and she was like, where is all this coming from? Like, you called to just check up on me. I'm not understanding, like, where the frustration's coming from. And I understand. But I told her, every time you ask me how my parents are doing, it triggers me. Because you should be asking the parents, how are your children? Sorry, my uncle just walked by. But how are your children? How are your children? You don't know why. Not asking us, why aren't you talking to your parents? Because X, Y, and Z. Oh, forgive them, they're your parents. Like, it's just that old school mentality of, like, forgive the parents, forgive the parents, forgive the parents. I'm tired of the forgive the parents. I already have. Even after the essay and everything, I still tried to have a relationship with my dad after I had my daughter. It wasn't going to work. The manipulation, the blackmail still, the disrespect. And plus, what he did to me, like, I talked to my husband. We were just like, you know what? I can't keep letting him have this hold over me. He was getting upset, literally, because I wouldn't call him every single day. I wouldn't let him know what I was doing, like, all the time. He wasn't in my business. He was upset. Like, I need to know what's going on. Like, and I was like, you know what? I'm old enough now. I don't need that control. I don't need you over me anymore. I don't need you over me anymore. You want to play games and block me and tell my grandma in LA that you don't even know what my kids look like? I'm not letting you be a grandpa. I'm not letting you be a grandpa. Not now. Calling my kids crack babies, everything else. Calling me a tramp, everything else. Because me and my sister had kids that were just, like, messed up, I guess. You know what I mean? And it's just like, we're not. So, my uncle's leaving for school. But, yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just sad. Like, to hear that from your own grandmother. Like, oh, I need to see it from your face to know if it's real. And because, like, your dad, I don't think your dad would do that. And it's like, and that's why I told her, like, that's why we didn't tell you guys anything in the first place. Like, her main thing that she kept saying back then was like, oh, why'd you wait so long? We didn't, though, because we reported it as the stuff was happening. Like, you know, there's some people who, like, now in 2025, they're coming out with stories from 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm over here like, it was happening and we told someone. So it's like, I don't get it. It's like, oh, when you're in danger and something's wrong, go tell an adult and get help. But then when you go and tell an adult and get help, it's like, oh, well, we don't believe you. And then for her to sit there and say, like, well, I'm not saying I don't believe you. It's like, everything you're saying is saying that you don't believe me. And the thing is, if they really wanted to, like, prove that we were lying, why didn't they go back and look at the hospital records, the doctor records of how many times we got seen, the bruises and everything? And also, what is up with these doctors from back in the day, too? I get it. Kids, oh, shoot. I get it. Kids get hurt. But, like, y'all should have been knew something was up. Y'all should have been like, damn, this girl keeps coming in with bruises. There was one time I had a concussion. But I don't think he took me to the doctor for that one. He kept me home for, like, almost a week. I remember that. I literally remember that because I had headaches. The worst freaking headaches. And he kept telling me to shut up. And I was just like, dude, this hurts hella bad. Like, it's not even funny. My bad. I'm, like, gardening too, guys. My bad. Getting my stuff ready. But, yeah. Like, I'm just, like, not understanding. Like, they could have looked at the records. They could have looked at the school records. They could have looked at everything. They could have called and checked up on the police department. How did the interview go? Nothing. How did the interview go with the interrogation? Like, my dad's side wasn't trying to do nothing to prove my dad wrong. Which, of course, they're not. I understand. You're not going to prove your family member guilty. But I'm just saying, though, they could have called, seen the evidence, they could have, though. They could have. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to say. Why was someone missing so much school? Why were they taking hecka doctor's visits all the time? You guys don't care to look. You didn't care to investigate. You think we're lying, but you didn't even care to investigate. It's years now. It's been years now. So, of course, it's going to be hard to find that stuff. I'm pretty sure you can still, but it's going to be hard. But to be told, like, well, what did you do? You're playing victim. Like, what could I have done as a kid to, like, want my dad to do that to me? Well, I'm just saying there's two sides to every story. There has to be a reason. There's no reason for anybody to touch their child. I'm just not understanding why. And I feel guilty. I feel guilty because my grandma's older, in her, like, 80s and 90s, like I said. So I feel guilty. She just lost her sister. But I still feel like that's not okay. Am I wrong because my grandma's that up in age for what I said? Because she's really going to, I hate to say this, pass thinking my dad was innocent. And it's just like, wow, to, like, pass like that. And, like, your son's guilty like that. And you're just really going to, like, pass letting him slide and just thinking that he's innocent. And, like, he does no wrong. I'm not perfect. But she kept saying, too, like, well, what did you do in your adult life to your dad? Nothing. I shouldn't even have let him in my life, in my adult life. And I still did and gave him the opportunity, and he still messed it up. So for me, it's like, I did everything I was supposed to. Why do we keep blaming the kids, telling the kids, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, make it better? They're your elders. What about the parents fixing stuff, making it better? What about that? You're calling and pressing me on why am I not talking to my dad? Call and press him. Why is he not talking to his children? I told her about how he tried to unalive my brother multiple times with the gun, and she still was like, well, like saying like, well, what did your brother do? What was the reason? Why is he pulling out a pew-pew on my brother? You see what I'm saying? It's always a reason, but it's never like, it's always like a reason from us. We need a reason from you guys of why X, Y, and Z happened. Talk to your son. Gosh, I'm sorry, guys. It's just the frustration's here. Like, this has been years, and the conversation was just a few days ago, so it hurts and stings a little bit because I love my grandma. But it's so hard after all these years, and, like, you guys didn't even try to investigate either. To have the nerve to call us liars is just, like, wild. Update, even after staying with my grandma for a few months now, we're finally good. You know, our living situation is good. Money's good. I just did have knee surgery, so now I'm on disability. So I'm going back to doing esthetician work. So now I'm going to be doing waxing, brow lamination, and then makeovers. I'll be getting into facials maybe like at the end of the year, maybe next year, but I'm just focusing on waxing for now. Specializing in Brazilians, again. So just an update. Life's good. No, I still haven't talked to my mom. She's still avoiding it. She keeps telling everybody she's blowing up my phone, but I'm like, no, she has not called at all. She did call, however, on my daughter's birthday, saying, like, can I at least tell her happy birthday? Which is like a slap in the face, because we're all like, because we spent Christmas with Tyler's side of the family this year. And even they were like, okay, so she only calls on her birthday, but she doesn't call any other day of the year. Like, to me, it's like, I took it as like, F my grandkids because I can't take accountability, and I know my man doesn't like my grandkids, but I'll call on the birthday though, so I can be like, I called on her birthday. That's how I took it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I didn't answer her call. And then she called on Christmas, said Merry Christmas, whatever. I didn't really care. And take this if I'm wrong, but I'm a size like 14 in pants. Okay. And she's done this before, where she's given me a gift and she's ordered me pants that were like 4X or whatever. And I was like, and everyone's like, oh, well, you know, our family's bigger, so maybe she just, and I'm just like, okay. And I'll insert a picture of me. I'm just like, you should know I'm not a 4X. So she sent me some clothes, and she sent me a pair of pants that were 3X this time. And I was like, dang, like, to me, like, I was like, damn, do I really look that big, you know? But I don't know. I just, like, I don't know, whatever. I guess that's just maybe my own little thing, but these pants were, like, big, you know? And I'm just like, I'm not a 3X. Not shaming, by the way. I'm just saying I'm not a 3X. But that's neither here nor there. Sent that, and then after I had my surgery, sent flowers. Oh, I hope you feel better. You know, and by the way, every time I'm receiving these things, I am sending messages back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I do appreciate the gift, you know. But that's it, because any phone call that she knows that she's going to make, we're going to talk about the situation. At the end of the day, you're going to hold yourself accountable. And every time it comes down to that, it's always like, well, your relationship's not perfect. your sister's relationship, your brother's relationship, you guys' relationships aren't perfect, and we're not doing that. Nobody's relationship's perfect, but we're not doing that. And I'm tired of giving into that and getting mad every time. Like, I don't care at this point. It's either take accountability or don't. And if you're not, cool. I'm going to stay over here. I can love you from afar. You know? To me, that's huge. And my kids being involved, like, your man's name, like, he calls my kids MFs. Like, you know, like, that's not cool. He don't like us. He don't like any of your kids. Like, and mind you, this has been since I was 14, because like I said, after, you know, CPS and them took me out my dad's house and we went to court and all that, and I ended up with her, and all that stuff happened in Sacramento, like, I told her, like, I don't feel comfortable with him. My brother said the same thing, like, you know, I was like, I'd feel more comfortable with grandma unless he's gonna leave, you know, and it's just like, okay, you can go with grandma because, like, he's not leaving type of stuff, you know, and then she'd always be like, I don't know why you and your brother, you know, complain, but you don't want to stay with me. And it's like, you know why. And then it's like, ugh. You know? But she wants to collect my brother's child support every month. And wasn't even living in the same city as us. But, I don't know. Now I'm just ranting because I'm upset. But it's just so many things that, like, she has the audacity. It's just like... And everybody in my family, too. Like, my great-grandma is like... I love my great-grandma, but it is hard to go over there because every time I go over there, it's like, have you talked to your mom? No. Why? You need to forgive. God says, honor thy mother and father. She's your mom, she's your mom, she's your mom, she's your mom. Same thing with my grandma. She's your mom, she's your mom. You know, I'm just like, when is it ever going to be, like, accounted for? I feel like we always hear, like, why aren't you talking to your parents? Why aren't you apologizing? Why aren't you trying to make things right? It's like, why aren't we telling them this? Why aren't they trying to make it right with us? Why aren't they trying to take accountability and apologize? I was wrong, but, like, we can fix this. Like, let me do right by you. You know what I mean? Like, because you're my child. Your relationship's your relationship at the end of the day, but, like, things need to be accounted for. Because it wasn't cool. That whole situation wasn't cool. And you can't just send gifts and, oh, if you need money, I can cash app you. Don't worry. Like, I don't need money. We're good over here. But don't think that money is going to, like... And I haven't taken any money from her because I'm not going to. Thank you for helping in the time of need, you know. And it was a hard year, you know. It was really hard having to come back to our grandma's and, like, get started all over again, you know, especially, like I said, after having a place. But that place was just so bad and slumlord, like, you know. Like, it's hard in situations like that. I don't know if any of you guys have ever moved into a place and then, like, it's just raggedy. Moving in and right away having no hot water for 8 months since day one, like, what? You know, it was crazy, you know. Having to move because we just couldn't do it anymore, you know. The health conditions were bad and we didn't want to keep our kids in that situation. So it's just like, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And when you have a parent that's like, I hate that you guys are living in those conditions, come stay with us, you know, until you can get, like, a new place, because they weren't trying to replace the apartment or move us somewhere else into a new place. They just weren't. They were terrible. You know, and I took her word for it. You know, and it sucks, you know, when you're in that situation, you don't want to start over and go back to parents, but you're hoping to lean on them, you know. So that whole situation was just terrible. But I'm glad that now we're past that, and I guess the bottom line update is just, like, we're fine now. I don't talk to my dad's side of the family after that whole situation with the phone call with my grandma out there when she was trying to say that it takes kind of like two to tango, or what did she say? Oh yeah, there's two sides to every story about my dad. Like, what did I do to make my dad do what he did? And it's just like, I'm a kid. What did I do to entice my dad to be sexual? But okay. So that's neither here nor there. So I just left it at that. She said to call her back when I was more calmed down, and I just never called her back, because to me, I got my peace when we went to my great aunt's funeral, or my aunt's funeral, and after that, you know, she got to meet my kids for the first time. She got to meet, you know, my husband, and she got to meet Tyler. She got to meet Leela, which is my brother's girlfriend. My sister, got to see her one last time. Also met my sister's baby. So it's just like we all kind of got our closure from her. We all seen her one last time because I know she's getting up there in age, but that's such a toxic relationship. It's like, I'll have a relationship with you if you have one with your dad type of thing, and I'm just like, I can't do that. So I'm in contact with neither of them. Neither of them. My mom's not blocked at all, but she's not gonna call because she knows that conversation is going to be had, and she thinks time's going to heal all wounds. I'm like, we can go 3 years, but when we talk, we're going to talk. You want to avoid it? That's fine. I'm still going to do me over here. You know, it was a really hard year to finally get on our feet and finally fend for ourselves. But, you know, now we're good. We have savings, so we're fine now. Thank goodness. Sometimes you get knocked down. Even being married and having a family, we get back up. Take that step back, but that step forward, we're in a better place. Way better. So, God is good. Keep him in your prayers. Really pray. It took a lot of praying. But thanks, you guys, for listening to the story time. That was just an update. Sorry I went on a rant. It's just so upsetting. There's so much to my life. But if there's any questions or anything, let me know. But I just wanted to kind of give an update. It's February 2026. So yeah,